Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our brand new series here on the channel called, I don't know, Brawl Stars New Player Guide, I guess, right? Something like that. That's what I'm thinking of going with. Brawl Stars New Player Guide. I like it. Guys, if you're a new player in Brawl Stars, this guide's all made for you. This is part one of our series. We're going to have more, so make sure you subscribe, turn notifications on. If you want more helpful tips and advice for progressing in Brawl Stars. Sorry, tongue-tied. Okay, anyway, right. This is all intended to teach you the fundamentals of Brawl Stars. If you're a brand new player, even if you're a bit of an experienced player, there might still be stuff in here, not necessarily this video so much, but in future videos that are going to help you. Now, I talk about a lot of the stuff I'm going to be covering over this series in Brawl Stars Explained. So if you haven't been watching Brawl Stars Explained, that's another series on the channel. We've got a playlist there. Check it out. It's a community coaching series. So you guys send through replays and we go over it like that, right? In this series, it's more generalizations. It's more going over things that you might not already know going into the game as a new player. Because I've been helping a lot of my friends and a lot of people on chat as well that are brand new players that are coming into the game, and there's a lot of questions that the game doesn't really answer, and it more comes down to experience and being involved in the community that you kind of know all this stuff. So I'm trying to make a more generalized approach to it so it's easier for you guys to get the information you need to start becoming better players more immediately. A good example of that is if you watch the Brawl Stars Explained that Pepe sent us the footage for his replays, right? With his Jean and his Tara, after covering those two videos, if you go onto the stream and you see Pepe play now, completely different player, and that's only a month apart, and that's just providing the information Pepe didn't know because the game doesn't explain it, and Pepe's a world apart, right? Even Pepe looks back at that footage and it's like a different player. So it's just having that knowledge. It can change how you play and it can make trophy grinding a lot easier. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve with this sort of series that we've got here. Now, what are we going to be covering today? There's two things we're going to be covering in this first video. It's coming down to account progression. I get asked that a lot on Twitch. So we're going to be talking about account progression. What's the best, most optimized way you should progress your account? And as a new player, what don't you already know when it comes down to account progression? We're going to just cover some of those basics so that you know what to sort of try to go for when progressing your account. The other thing we're going to talk about is just a general overview of the different types of game modes, because when you're first starting out, you might not sort of understand the sort of fundamentals for each game mode, and it might be a bit intimidating jumping into them, especially if you're using a high trophy brawler into a game mode you've never played before. It might be really intimidating. So I want to sort of cover the basics for those as well in this video. But like I said, I've got a lot of videos planned for this series. We're going to be trying to upload one of these a week. So do subscribe if you want more tips. We're going to talk about a lot of other stuff moving on. This is literally the fundamentals. If you're very brand new to the game, this is the fundamentals to get you started. Okay? All right, so let's sort of move into it. The first thing we're talking about is account progression. So we've got Shelly. The first character you're going to get is going to be Shelly, right? There she is, right? Default skin Shelly. That's what you're going to get. The other brawler you might get if you sign up a Supercell account, you're going to get Barley as well. Barley's a thrower. Now we're going to go into the difference between fighters, throwers, heavyweights, sharpshooters, and support characters, the 5 different classes in Brawl Stars. And I think there's a 6th one as well that I missed, Assassin as well, right? We're going to go over all that in a future video, talk about the different types of classes and what that all sort of means. But for today, we're just going to use Shelly as the example for actual progression, right? Now, when you first start up, you're going to have a power level 1 Shelly. Now, I don't want you to think when you first start the game, power level 1, it's not like Clash Royale. Power level 1, people actually make challenges out of it to hit 750 trophies, which is what that green badge indicates, right? With a power level 1 brawler. People do it all the time, experienced players. The difference between power level 1 and power level 10 in Brawl Stars is quite minimal by comparison to other mobile games. With power level 1, there's an actual, it feels like there's a paywall in other mobile games. In Brawl Stars, there doesn't ever feel like there's a paywall between lower power brawlers and max brawlers, right? The difference is so minuscule that if you're a high skill player, you can outskill people with low level brawlers, right? Now obviously you get a competitive edge with a max brawler, and I'm about to go over those things because you can see there's a gadget and a star power. I'm about to talk about those, but with the introduction of gadgets, there does start to be a bit more power in brawlers when they get to that stage. But honestly, power level 7 brawler is easy, really easy to achieve. Now, getting them to power level 10, that's a bit harder, right? And that comes down to gold, which we'll talk about as well in a second, as your gold management, right? Now, let's just talk about the different sort of abilities you get. So you can see Shelly power 10. Now, power 10, you don't have to use gold for. Power 10 is achieved just by getting a star power. Okay, so what you're paying for is, with your gold, is up to power level 9. Once you hit power level 9, you unlock the potential to get a star power from a box, and once you get star power, they become power level 10. When you hit power level 7, you will unlock gadgets as another ability. Before that, you've just had primary attack and super, like an ultimate, right? Once you get the gadgets are an extra ability. They'll have charges, and it's an extra ability to use on the battlefield. So for Shelly, you can get a dash, right, which I'll show you in a second, or you can get clay pigeons. We don't talk about clay pigeons. The dash is the one you want, right? Once you get to, and we'll talk about that in a future video about Shelly's different abilities and what ones are the better ones. But once you get to the star powers, you can unlock them. Now, star powers are a passive ability, so unlike the gadget where you get an extra button on the screen, star powers are sort of something in the background that gives brawlers a bit of a, it makes them feel like a different character sometimes. It gives them another ability that just can change their sort of role on the battlefield. Now, it's kind of hard to show off a star power. We'll use Shell Shock, and I'll show it. Shell Shock slows down enemies when you use Shelly Super, so hopefully you guys will be able to see that. If you've just started, you already know what it looks like when you hit someone with a super. Now, just to sort of show you what it looks like to have a gadget, you've got the green button down there. You see just here, I'll push it now, Shelly gets a dash, right? So it's kind of, it gives them an extra ability. These gadgets, they're not too game breaking. We've had a few cases, if you're new, you wouldn't know about it. We've had a few cases of some gadgets that have been game breaking, but for the most part, they are just an extra ability. Now, if you look, if any of these guys survive, you'll see that the, maybe not, maybe they're not going to look slowed. Well, okay, I can't really show off the star power. That's neither here nor there. Just know star powers, they're a passive ability. They sit in the background. Gadgets, brand new ability. So when you're upgrading your characters, right, when you get them to level 7, you're going to get gadgets in the shop. They're going to be worth 1,000 gold. And I get asked it all the time, should I buy the gadget in the shop? And it's really tempting because they're so alluring, right? Because they feel like they can be so game-changing for the brawler. Honestly, save your gold, right? This is the big thing about account progression here. Save your gold. Because what happens, you're going to get more power points than you're going to get gold, right? You're going to get more characters ready to be leveled up than you're going to have gold to do it. It's important that you don't go wasting your gold in the shop. Don't buy power points in the shop. Don't buy gadgets in the shop unless you're putting money into the game as a free-to-play player, or even as a semi, like even if you sort of put money into the game, it's still not worth buying stuff in the shop unless you're actually going out and you're spending a ridiculous amount on gems every single week. You're a whale, and good on you, more power to you. Absolutely do that if you want, right? But unless you're doing that, save your gold, because you're not going to have the gold to level up your brawlers. It's really tempting. You will get gadgets out of your boxes eventually. You're going to pull the star powers out of the box eventually. Focus on getting brawlers you like to high levels. And it's important that I say that, brawlers you like, because like I said, you're not going to have the gold to level up every brawler. So you want to, who do I enjoy playing? You should have already tested out all your brawlers. Who do I enjoy playing? That's the character I want to have a gadget soon, because we want to be hitting these trophy milestones, right? And this is the next part about the account progression I want to talk about, hitting these trophy milestones. So you could see that brawlers have ranks. Rank 20, that's your end game. Past rank 20, you will start to receive trophy decay. My personal opinion on this is, unless you have every brawler at 500 trophies, I wouldn't worry too much about pushing them above 500 trophies. And why is that? Because as a new player, we want to try and get as far on the trophy road as we can, because you can see there's a lot of rewards on the trophy road, right? So as you're progressing, you're going to get these rewards, you're going to get these power points, you're going to get this gold, you're going to get that mega box, right? As you're progressing on the trophy road. And the fastest way to progress on the trophy road is getting your brawlers to 500 trophies. Now, you're going to have brawlers that you just don't like playing, that are just going to be difficult. We do them last, right? as we level them up, because as we level them up, we get their extra abilities, they become easier to push. Characters like Mortis, right? If we go down, Mortis is a really good example of a character that becomes far better when he gets his star power, because this coiled stake will increase his dash, which means securing kills with Mortis is a lot easier. With his gadget, I like Combo Spinner because it gives him that extra damage burst. So if you're struggling to push someone like Mortis, leave him to the end. Leave him until you have a max, because you're going to max your account as you progress, and you're only going to max your account faster by pushing all your brawlers up in trophies. So say to yourself one day, hey, I'm going to get all my brawlers to rank 10. Boom, get them all to rank 10. Now I'm going to get them all to rank 15. Beautiful, you got them all to rank 15. And watch yourself climb on the trophy road. Watch yourself, you're getting all these rewards. Every time you rank up a brawler, you're getting an extra 10 tokens. That's going to fill up your battle pass, right? You're going to get your rewards from the battle pass as well. And just as a quick tidbit, if it's in your capacity, definitely get the premium battle pass. It is quite cheap. If you're able to do it, I recommend it. The rewards are just ridiculous. You're going to progress so quickly. You're going to max your account faster and faster. We're looking for strategies to progress our account faster. Now, I said, why not worry about pushing your brawlers past the 500 mark? Now, the reason for that is, if you haven't got the rest of your brawlers already to 500, and you push, say you push Leon to 750 trophies, because he's just on the screen, right? Say we push him to 750 trophies, and we don't have all our brawlers to 500, and we're progressing on the trophy road. On the trophy road, you'll see down the bottom right corner, it says Trophy League ends in 13 days and 8 hours. What happens there is, once that happens, say I've got him there, now the trophy decay isn't as bad as it used to be, so this opinion might be outdated, but the fact remains, he's going to drop, right? So you can see if I get him to 750, between 750 and 775, he's going to drop back to 749. It's not a huge big deal, but let's say you don't play Leon for the next month while you're progressing the rest of your brawlers. He's just going to drop, next he's going to drop to 699. So you know what I mean? He's just going to keep dropping, and you're going to get that trophy decay where every time you're close to hitting another milestone, if you're not continually playing that brawler and making sure that they stay up, he's going to drop. Now, like I said, the trophy decay isn't as bad as it used to be. The trophy decay used to be a lot worse. So this opinion is kind of outdated of mine, but I still feel like you should push your brawlers up to 500. The other thing pushing all your brawlers to 500 does is it actually gives you experience on all these brawlers. That doesn't sound like a big deal straight away, but if you're a new player, having experience on as many brawlers as you can helps on those late game matchups, especially if your brawlers aren't maxed, because you get a better understanding of the fundamentals of each brawler. Say you've got Frank and you've played Frank, you don't really like Frank, but at least you know what he does, right? You've pushed Frank to 500, so you have a good concept of, okay, this is sort of his range on the stun. Okay, he doesn't really, like when I played Frank, I used to struggle with hitting targets because he stands still when he attacks, right? So you think about all the things you struggled with, and then you can use that to your advantage in the matchup, because if you struggled with it, you can abuse that to make other players struggle with it. So you just get that experience on other brawlers that you can then use when you're playing brawlers you enjoy and you're pushing brawlers up higher. It all comes down to experience in the end. I've got one of my friends, really good player, right? He's just started, really good player. Where he struggles is just knowing matchups because he doesn't have all the brawlers. He's just, like I said, he's just really started recently. He's fantastic. He's understanding the fundamentals of the game really well, but he'll get bamboozled as soon as he runs into a brawler he's never seen before, and it just collapses from there because he doesn't understand the abilities. So that's why playing as many brawlers as you can and just playing them enough is really, really helpful in that sense as well, right? So that's enough about that. You all sort of understand that, I hope. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments and I'll elaborate a bit more, but I hope I've explained that sort of account progression side of things well enough. So don't buy things in the shop. It's not worth it. You're going to get it from the loot boxes. Focus on pushing your brawlers, hitting those trophy goals, and you'll get the stuff you need as you go, right? Think of it like that. The game's designed to get you a maxed account eventually, right? Well, I think where the game makes its money, right, is us buying skins. Like people like me, you buy every skin that comes out, buy every pin pack in the shop, right? I think that's where the game really makes money. It's not on the account progression side. So that's enough of that. The next thing I want to talk about is just here, right? Whoops, that was the wrong button. There we go. So just here, like this is a website called Brawlify. This part isn't the important part. The important part is actually and talking about the game modes, which is the next part we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about just a general overview of game modes, just so they feel a little bit less intimidating. Like I said, this video is designed if you're actually new to the game. Those of you that have experience in the game, you're not going to get too much value out of this section here. So, like, I'm not even going to go into depth. This thing won't go where I want it to go. You see that? It just keeps locking back. Hey, dude, stay there. Cool, thank you. Okay, so we're just going to jump into, this is a gem mine map. This is the first game mode you're going to get. Gems come out here. You should know how to play this, right? If you're a new player, I'm going to elaborate on this concept a bit more. We're not going to talk about it too much in this video. This video is just meant to be the fundamentals. But the first thing we're going to talk about, look at that. Right. What do those lines indicate? Lanes. Okay. We're going to talk a lot more about lanes and strategies and how we should be thinking about the game. When you just start, this is what's going to happen. All three of you, 100%, are just going to go up there. If this is the map that's on, all three of you are going to go in there. All three of them are going to go in there. We're 0 trophies. We don't know how to play the game. We're going to go in the mid. If someone's playing Jesse or Anita, the enemy team's just going to die because we're all funneling down the same lane and we're all just dying together. We fight together, we die together. You as a new player can get a competitive edge if you just say these are your two teammates, they're going to run in there. These three guys, they're going to run in there. Don't know how to play the game, that's fine. Hey, you run out here, alright? You run up there. These three are all going to come out here. And then you just you just shoot them from there because they're going to be shooting in here where your teammates are. Your teammates are going to die. Hey, you're still alive. Your teammates might kill a couple of people there as well, and you're still alive and you're full health. And these guys are weak because they're all fighting here in the mid, and you're off here on the left, right? Just that's going to get you a competitive edge, and you're going to climb trophies faster, and you're going to get out of the rank, and you're going to get to better games with better players, right? Now, gem mine, gem grab, it's all about controlling this mid area. So on a map like this, we're playing in these lanes, right? You always want to look, where are the lanes in the map, okay? The other thing to think about in gem mine is a lot of games you're going to get people who are splitting trophies, right? One person has 4, one person has 3, one person has 4, right? Stuff like that, right? We want to try and condense that and have one person carry as many gems as possible. Now, it's not always possible to have them carry the full 10. The reason we do that is, hey, if countdown happens, we only need one person to actually run back to spawn, right? So the gem carrier runs back to spawn and say hides in this bush, and then you and your other teammate can sit on the lanes and just try to prevent the enemy team from pushing on your gem carrier and just apply that pressure. If you're the gem carrier, don't fight, okay? It's a meme in the community, right? El Primos, they get 10 gems and then they just like use their super and jump into the enemy team. We don't want to do that. If you're the gem carrier, run back to spawn. That's just the lowdown. That's the lowdown of gem grab, okay? Any questions, leave it in the comments and I'll address it in a future video, but that's the general concept, right? Have a gem carrier, play lanes. I'm going to talk about lanes in every single one of this because it's so important. Brawl Ball, right? Brawl Ball, really easy. You played Rocket League? You played soccer? Right? Goal, ball, goal, and goal. Obviously, right? It's Brawl Ball. Once again, we're looking at lanes, right? Left, mid, right. One person's going to be in this bush, one person's going to be in this bush, the other person's going to be sort of fighting in this area to try to contest the ball. In late game Brawl Ball matches, nobody touches the ball for ages. In early game, I guarantee everyone's running to the ball, everyone wants to get their name on the screen for getting the goal, right? It's all about applying that sort of pressure, finding openings. Now, 100% if all three players go in the right lane, then you just go whoop, up the left, take the ball up the left and go into the goal, right? If all three players are going to play in the right, take the advantage of the space that they've given you. If they're not going to contest an area, take advantage of space. But Brawl Ball, pretty simple, right? You're going to have a goal scorer, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't think about goals. You should always be looking for openings where you can just sneak in, right? Always, always. It's all about playing that objective. If your team's up on players, push up with the ball. There's no reason not to. So you're just thinking about that. That's Brawl Ball. Brawl Ball self-explanatory. I hope I said that word right. Self-explanatory. Is that the right way to say that? I actually don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Hot Zone's a relatively new one, right? So Hot Zone, it's kind of a new game mode, but it speaks for itself, right? You only need one person in each circle to capture them, right? And it's all about trying to capture the circle. That's all it is. You just want to be capturing the points, right? Try to always make sure there's someone standing on a point at all times. Now, there's different types of Hot Zone maps, so I wonder if I can find a different one as well. If I go here, because that's kind of like a crazy one. Dueling Beetles is a pretty good one. As an example, it's just the one, right? So on Dueling Beetles, we can talk more about lanes, right? So left, right, mid, obviously, and then the person in mid also captures the point. Whoops, that's not how we use a mouse. In this one, right? Take away those. You sort of split up this way, and it's sort of, think of it as the lanes are flipped, right? The top is left, mid, and then bottom is right. Kind of weird, but you got to think of it like that. Like I said, you're always trying to find the lanes. And obviously, you can actually shoot through these walls that you see here. So in a map like this, you want to be supporting, when you win your 1v1, you want to be supporting that. Now, as a new player, you're not going to get access to Hot Zone for a bit. I think Hot Zone's one of the last ones you get, along with the other game modes we're about to talk about. But just as a general idea, you only need one person per point. So if you've captured the other points, you can leave one person on there and you can try and fight around it to keep the enemy off, right? Just thinking like that. Understand, not everyone needs to be standing on the point. Grouping up often is a bad idea because there's so many characters that can deal damage to multiple characters. Like Sandy and Poco will just pierce through. Nita, Jesse's bullets will bounce off. So if all three of us are standing on this point and a Poco or a Sandy or a Nita, or those characters I just mentioned run up, they're just going to kill everyone. So that's why it's important that like two of us stand here or stand here and we hold positions where we can defend without being directly in the line of fire. Because even if our player that's on the point dies, their respawn doesn't take too long. They would have fought. If we're fighting with them on the offside, we're not taking damage, and then we can take advantage of a weak opponent and we can reclaim the point and we can just sort of swap for a moment while one of us capture the point. Just thinking about strategies like that kind of helps you out there. Siege is an interesting one. Bolts are going to spawn in different areas of the map, and you can see where these lines are. So on the blue line over here, whoa, that's not my pen. On this, why is it thick now? What have I done? Guys, what have I done? Oh, here we go. So we can see these, that's too small. There we go. So we can see that, right? If an enemy comes through the blue line, they'll get shot by our turret here. I think it's 1,000 damage per shot. And then vice versa, you can see where the red line is. I'm not going to highlight it. But where that red line is, that's where if you cross that line, that turret is going to shoot you for like 1,000 damage a pop. So what we want to do is bolts are going to... How is that happening? Bolts are going to spawn in different spots on the map, like that. And what happens when the bolts spawn, you want to collect them. And the player who has more bolts at the end of a time frame, I think it's 30 seconds, will spawn a big robot that will then run through, follow a direct path to the enemy turret, and will shield you from the other turret, right? Think of it like League of Legends running in, right, to take out their big castle at the end, and that's shooting everyone. You're taking heaps of damage, but if you have a big bot that can tank it, then you can deal heaps of damage. The player who destroys the other Ike turret first wins. So your goal is, really, you want to be controlling. Once again, you can see the lanes, right? It's all about controlling here. Controlling this area right here. It's your area. Make sure the enemy team can't get to it because you want the bolts. Games are won and lost by who can control that area better. Okay? So control the area, take the bolts. Don't all group up in one lane. If all three of you are here, then the enemy team can split up here and take those bolts for free. You want to make sure there's one person in each one, but don't be afraid to help out in other fights. It's always about trying to help out your teammates if you won your fight. Okay? That's the rundown for Siege. We got 2 more game modes other than Showdown. We'll briefly talk about Showdown. Showdown's kind of self-explanatory. We'll open these up. Okay, so Heist, similar to Siege in that we want to destroy the enemy objective before they destroy ours. But there's no bolts in this one. It's literally just get through. So we see there's lanes that we can take, right? We can take these lanes. We can run up straight through mid. And then we can take out the Heist. But obviously we're going to run into our enemies. and we're also trying to defend our safe at the same time. There's different strategies you can take, it depends on the team comp, but following the fundamental steps, pick a lane, take the lane, get to the objective, win your fight, win your 1v1, get to the objective, take the objective, right? It's just following that fundamental concept, you'll be fine. Heist is pretty self-explanatory, either defend or attack. Generally, you want to be on the attack, being on the defensive is bad, but sometimes you can't help it. Take the defensive if you have to, and then make a big counter push, right? Finally, bounty. Bounty is the closest thing we have to deathmatch in this game. Blue star, really important. It's the tiebreaker. It's 1 free star, and whichever team has the blue star at the end, if it's a tie, we'll win, right? If, say, we both have 10 points, but I have the blue star, I win, right? Now, it's really easy to be super aggressive on bounty because, like I said, it's deathmatch. You just want to be killing people, but also you'll see the points at the top. If you're in the lead, don't be afraid to push back and play defensively and make your opponents come out of good positions, right? Because take this map, for example, right? If we're playing lanes, it's going to be really easy for you to have an opponent that's going to chill there, an opponent that chills there, and then like maybe a thrower or something that's there, right? And just sort of controlling that area and being really hard to kill. And your team's probably doing the same thing. But hey, if we're in the lead, they actually have to leave that position and come towards us and get into really gross positions. Like they may take that teleporter over here. But if we're chilling back here and just holding these positions, we're in the defensive spot. And we're forcing them out of defensive positions to be aggressive, which means we're probably going to get more kills on them. Okay, so use lead advantages to your advantage. Unfortunately, at low trophy ranks, you can't tell your teammates that, so they're probably just going to feed, and you're going to have to carry. But hey, in an ideal world, that's the strategy: is use your lead as an advantage. Now, finally, the last one, solo showdown. Hey, it's a battle royale mode, right? Huge map, 10 players, last one standing wins. There's not really much to talk about there, and you don't have to worry about upsetting any teammates or having bad randoms. It's literally down to your own skill. Notable things, right? Power cube advantage, positioning, not getting pinched. And when I say pinch, what I mean by that is, say that's me, right? And I've got these two players here. If they both come towards me, I'm in a really bad spot because I can't fight both of them. Okay? So you want to try and get yourself out of that position as fast as you can, and hopefully instead you're the one pinching other players. It's not teaming if you're pinching. It's only teaming if you're like spinning and being a dirtbag, right? But if you see two people fighting and you get involved in that fight and use those two enemies weakening each other, I've talked about it before. There's 2 Brawl Stars Explained with Showdown, one with Surge, and the most recent one with BB. Honestly, if you want more tips for solo Showdown, watch those, or let me know in the comments if you want me to do a dedicated video to it, okay? Let me know. But that's all the game modes. Duo Showdown as well, it's instead of 10 players all solo, it's 10 players, but 5 teams of 2, right? So it's a battle royale. Power cubes are the lifeblood of it. Instead of finding loot, you're finding power cubes. But it's a battle royale through and through. There's not really much more to talk about in that sense for solo showdown. But that's sort of the rundown for it. Most important takeaway is play your lanes. So if you're a new player, think about that, right? I hope it's been helpful. This is the first video in this series. Let me know if you want me to elaborate on more stuff. I'm going to be making more videos, like I said, in this series in the future. So make sure you subscribe. Drop a comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about next, because I've got a few ideas. But hey, if I see people asking for specific stuff, I'll do that next. This series is all about discussing just general game tips for Brawl Stars. It's not really talking about specific game modes, not really talking about specific brawlers. It's all about general tips on how you can improve as a player, because it can be a bit intimidating now because there's so much happening in Brawl Stars. It's really easy to pick up and play, but there's a lot more to it than people will give it credit for. So yeah, that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Rogue Like Duck. I stream as well. Go over to the Twitch channel. Obviously, I've talked about Twitch a couple of times. Follow me there. Try and catch me live. Absolutely huge. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'll see you next time. Bye.